¡Oh! ¡Oh! ¡El doctor!
Every single morning, I wake up and wonder, do girls ever poop or does it just get reabsorbed into their body? And since I don't have a mother because my father birthed me, and since I don't have a girlfriend because I don't go outside, I've never been able to answer this question. However, recently some other internet mysteries have finally been solved. The creepiest internet mysteries that were finally solved by the Pain Explainer.
Have you dreamed of this man? In 2008, a website appeared asking a simple question. Have you dreamed of this man? The site quickly filled with short, eerie stories from people who claimed they had.
Wait, what did they just say? I fell in love with him for the very first time. Even though I think about it, I must admit he's really ugly. He swept me off his feet with his romantic gestures. Jesus Christ. How thirsty do you have to be to fall in love with this balding 30-year-old guy with a monobrow? I've never had homosexual relationships or even fantasies, but I dreamt about... Oh, okay, doing the frickety... Okay, wait, what? So apparently this guy is so hot that he is turning straight men gay. Like, this is really turning you gay?
Posters with the same sketch and the same question even began showing up in cities. Within a year, the mystery had gone viral. More than 10,000 people had written to the site, saying they too had seen him in their sleep. Soon, the idea that this man was part of some real, supernatural phenomenon started gaining traction. On forums like 4chan, users decided to investigate, and they actually found the solution. A reverse IP lookup of the website showed it was connected to a guerrilla marketing company, a group that promotes ideas or products through unusual and attention-grabbing stunts. This raised suspicion that the Dream Man wasn't real at all, but simply a creation. In 2010, the site's creator, Italian sociologist and marketer Andrea Nutella, admitted that the whole thing was a stunt.
Okay, now, how could this man possibly turn someone gay if this was a stunt? I don't know whether it was a stunt at that point. Unless all those stories before were fake, how did this end up turning straight men gay?
He said the drawing was based on his father, and that the early dream testimonials were not real, but he never explained what the campaign was supposed to promote, and the website was simply left online. Not everyone who emailed the site was lying, though. Many people probably did dream about the man, but it might have just been a mental suggestion after seeing the image and hearing the stories.
Wait, but then what product was this possibly trying to market? So this was all a marketing stunt and all of the things at the start were fake. Okay, so this didn't actually turn a straight man gay. But what product could this possibly market? Like, just think about it. Like, the guy's never gonna reveal it, but like, how are you meant to even... But how are you even meant to guess what this could possibly market? Maybe a pencil? It could, maybe a pencil. Or maybe a shaver. Yeah, maybe this guy needs to stop shaving his head and shave his monobrow.
The Post-it Notes. On April 15th, 2015, a man who used the username R. Bradbury had a really strange experience. He lived alone, but that morning he found a Post-it note on his desk with a list of chores written on it. The handwriting was not his. At first, he tried to ignore it, but a few days later, another Post-it appeared.
Bro, is this not just like the maid's notes? Like he has a cleaner or something. Wouldn't the cleaner be like, you know, like writing the stuff on the notes and putting it under the table to like store it there instead of putting it into the bin? Or maybe he just has dementia. Like maybe he wrote this the other day and put it underneath the thing, and then the next day he forgot about it.
But a few days later, another Post-it appeared, this time stuck to the back of his chair. It said, "Save your documents." This was the moment when the search truly began. Bradbury started to believe that someone was secretly entering his apartment and leaving these notes. So to find out who it was, he set up a webcam to record his desk. But the situation only grew stranger. On April 20th, he woke up to another Post-it. It read, "Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do."
Okay, you gotta chill. That is fricked up. That is actually creepy. Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do. Okay, so are you some sort of time traveler or something, bro? This is like the type of thing you see in some sort of movie when like you from the future comes back, like from the future into the present to like impregnate yourself so that you can like spawn another human. But also it could be some like random alien or like maybe God like himself is talking to you.
Shocked, he rushed to check the webcam recordings, but the video files on his computer were gone. It looked as if someone had deleted them. Soon after, even more Post-it notes appeared, this time covering his doors, but they were all blank. Bradbury began
to... Okay, that is creepy. If that ever happened to me, I would literally move out of my house and like stay with my friend, like stay at one of my friend's house. Because what are you meant to do in that situation? Like obviously at this point, someone has been breaking into your house and is sticking notes everywhere. And so that means while you were sleeping, someone was in your house. You could have been diddled while you were asleep. And so it's either I would move in with like a friend or I would stay up the entire night and just wait there and just watch everyone. Instead of having like a security camera, I would use my own 2 security cameras, my 2 eyes and my dingling. And if anyone breaks into my house while I'm watching, I will brutally diddle them.
Bradbury began to suspect his landlord, thinking that the handwriting on the notes looked similar to his landlord's. Not knowing what else to do, he turned to Reddit for advice. He posted on the subreddit r/legal advice, explaining his situation and asking whether he could press charges against his landlord. The post quickly gained a lot of attention, and the most common suggestion was that Bradbury might be sleepwalking and writing the notes himself without realizing it. Then, a Reddit user named Kakerlak noticed something important in one of Bradbury's earlier posts. Bradbury had mentioned that he slept in a small bedroom with no windows. Kakerlak asked, "Do you get bad headaches?" And Bradbury admitted that he often did. That is when Kakerlak suggested another possible explanation: carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide is a dangerous gas that cannot be seen or smelled. In a poorly ventilated room, it can build up without anyone noticing, and breathing it in can cause confusion, memory loss, and even hallucinations. In serious cases, it can be deadly.
Wait, so you're telling me this dude somehow gave himself self-induced dementia? He accidentally poisoned himself with carbon monoxide to the point where he literally had dementia. And so he wasn't even doing this sleepwalking, but he was doing this in the daytime and yeah, just had memory loss. So I knew it. He was doing this himself, but he just couldn't remember it. And then he was doing everything that creeped him out so much. But then he was doing the most creepy things possible to himself. Like everything that would have creeped him out the most, he did. He literally did every wrong move. Like what is this message? Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do. Bro, that is so creepy. And even with the blank sticky notes, like that is insanely creepy. And so he knew every little thing that would creep himself out, and he did it without realizing it.
Bradbury decided to test this theory, so he bought a carbon monoxide detector and plugged it in. Immediately, the alarm went off. His apartment was filled with the gas, and he had been breathing it the entire time. The notes were real, but he had been writing them himself while poisoned, then forgetting he had done it. The missing webcam recordings were not deleted by an intruder.
He forgot to record.
The software he used simply was not saving the files. As for the handwriting, Bradbury later realized he had not compared it to his landlord's at all, but to a letter from his mother.
Bro, so this dude was about to incriminate his landlord for absolutely no reason. You could have got your landlord chucked into jail because you were so dumb to not realize that it was you doing the thing. But to be fair, when you have carbon monoxide poisoning, I assume you just have no idea what you're doing. And so yeah, that is a pretty insane catch from this user on Reddit. Let's see what he's up to these days. Kakerlak. Okay, 5 months ago, legal advice, windowless apartment for rent. Windowless apartment, oh no, not again. Gas not applicable. Oh, phew. Okay. Oh, wait. So, okay. This is a reference. This is do you get the reference? This is a reference to the thing that was in the video. It's a reference. It's a reference.
I feel fantastic. If you're 18 or older, you probably saw the viral video called I Feel Fantastic. In it, a stiff robot with wide, staring eyes sang an eerie tune that kept saying, I feel fantastic, while wearing different outfits.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen this. I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever...
The video seemed to appear out of nowhere, and once it spread, people couldn't stop speculating about what it really was. The most popular theory was frightening. The robot had been built by a disturbed criminal who dressed it in the clothes of his victims. At some point in the video, the camera pointed towards a random garden, and people speculated that was the place where the victims were buried. The mystery only deepened when the original upload disappeared from the internet. Re-uploads kept circulating for years, keeping the legend alive but never solving the question of where this strange robot actually came from. In 2020, writer Yeezy Lit decided to investigate, and searching through old websites, Lit found photos of the same robot on obscure Android enthusiast forums, some dating back to 2001.
And let me guess, I've just had a thought. I've just had a strange thought. What if these are actually frickety dolls? I think they are actually frickety dolls because they have like electronics and everything in them, and so they must have like a pulsating lasagna to extract maximum milk out of the customers. So I think this is actually some sort of, frickety bot.
These forums revealed the name of the man who created it, John Bergeron. Far from being a criminal, Bergeron was an inventor trying to build something new for the entertainment industry. The robot's name was Tara, and Bergeron had built her as a prototype for about $2,000 at the time.
Okay, what type of bot costs $2,000 unless it's actually a frickety bot? There is no way a display doll costs $2,000 unless it's meant for fricking.
His dream was to mass-produce Terra as a singing android, but that plan never succeeded.
Sure, mate. I'm sure she's just meant to be a singing robot. Yeah, that's the only reason why she has a mouth that can open. It's just so that she can sing, right?
Utaho no Tatari. Utaho no Tatari is the name of two Japanese horror games, both of which had a really eerie backstory. The real mystery began in 2014, when someone posted on the subreddit r/creepygaming about a disturbing discovery in the second game. They had triggered what looked like a glitch. After following a strange series of steps, the game screen filled with scrambled text. Then the screen went black, flashed white 4 times, and finally displayed a very unsettling, low-quality photo. It appeared to show a woman, with most of her face hidden in dark shadows.
And I assume this is some sort of dead body. I assume the developer of this game has brutally murdered someone, taken a photo of it, and just put it into his game because he's a sicko. Why would you do that? And like to traumatize some random player who accidentally activates the glitch that shows the dead body? Or like, actually, no, this is not a dead body. I assume this is not a dead body. This doesn't really look like a dead body, does it? This has to be some sort of rendering, right? Okay, YouTube manual reviewers, this is not a dead body. This is a 3D render of a video game. If you demonetize this video, YouTube manual reviewers, then you are actually overweight, 30 years old with a neck beard, and you're still living in your mom's basement. And also, your breath stinks.
The image was so disturbing that players began to wonder if it might actually be a real photograph of human remains. This idea didn't seem impossible, since other obscure games, such as the infamous Hong Kong 97, had used actual victim photos taken from the news. Before long, people discovered that this was not a random glitch at all, but a hidden event programmed into the game. By changing their computer settings to Japanese, players could read the missing symbols in the error message with scrambled text. At first, it looked like a standard crash screen, but then, the game's main character, Utaho, suddenly began addressing the player directly. The event was triggered by walking through 3 torii gates, traditional Japanese shrine gates. Doing this started a hidden timer, and once the timer ran out, the so-called glitch sequence would play, ending with the disturbing photo. The question of where that haunting image came from remained. Reverse image searches showed nothing, and for years, no one had a clear answer. Many theories were suggested, but without proof, the mystery stayed unsolved. Then, in 2022, someone on Reddit finally uncovered the source of the photo. It was not from a crime scene. Instead, it came from a Japanese horror film called Hair Extensions, released.
Bro, so this entire time, these little gooners thought that it was some random dead woman, when in fact it was just from some stupid movie. How can you guys mess this up that badly? And also, can't you just reverse image search it with like ChatGPT or AI or something? Like, this obviously isn't a real dead body. Like, if you look at it, it looks fake. It looks like someone, like it literally looks like a movie set. Like, sort of this stuff, like this. Like, this is not real life.
The exact frame appears in the movie's trailer, showing a woman staring lifelessly into the camera. After nearly 10 years of speculation, the mystery was solved.
So it was literally just a deep-fried image of a screenshot from the movie. So the developer of the game could not be bothered getting their own, like, random, like, you know, movie set and everything to take original photos. They just had to rip this photo, a screenshot from a movie, and just deep-fry it until it looked different enough. But also, who watches this movie and when it comes to this scene, immediately recognizes that it's from this video game? Because it's pretty significantly altered over here, and it's also stretched a little bit, like it's like squished. And so what type of little anime nerd weeb gooner would recognize this, like, into this?
Google Maps help messages. In early 2025, one discovery on Google Maps in Los Angeles spread quickly online and became a viral mystery. In a rail yard near Dodger Stadium, the word help could be seen written again and again in giant letters.
Bro, I feel like if you've been on the internet for long enough, you'll probably realize that this is obviously a troll. Like, there is no way anyone does this seriously. This is obviously a troll. Like, bro, like when you were younger, when I was younger, I used to like write random SOS. Like, okay, of course, you should never do this. But when I was like really young and stupid, I used to write random like SOS messages, help messages and all that. And like some of my friends would even like, you know, write fake signs of paper, and like while they were driving in the car with their family, and they'd write signs like, help me, I'm being kidnapped or something, like when the police was driving past them. And so yeah, this is obviously a troll. Like, if it's this neat, it's obviously a troll.
Nearby were other words, including federal and LAPD. Each letter had been carefully built using long pipes or large wooden boards. When people first noticed the writing, theories began to spread immediately. Some thought it was a real cry for help, maybe from people trapped or being forced to work. The fact that the writing was inside a Union Pacific rail yard fueled more suspicion. Los Angeles railways have a history of theft and crime, and some feared this was connected to organized trafficking or forced labor. People contacted the LAPD, who quickly went to check the site, and around the same time, a social media user visited the rail yard with a camera to film what it looked like from the ground. What he found changed everything. The rail yard was surrounded by homeless encampments, and even though the area was supposed to be fenced off, a large hole in the fence made it easy to enter. Local homeless residents explained that the writing wasn't a signal from victims at all.
Okay, so we can confirm it's not from the victims at all, but at the same time, what are you doing living in this rail yard? It's illegal to live in this rail yard. You've just snuck through the fence over here, and now the LAPD is here. So you're gonna get evicted. You can't be staying here.
The writing wasn't a signal from victims at all. It was the work of another homeless man who had been creating these giant messages for years. The LAPD later confirmed this story. They said they had spoken to the man many times before and had even offered him both housing and mental health support, but he always refused.
And so ultimately, it was a prank. It was literally a prank from this stupid old homeless guy. They should have evicted him. They should have chucked him out and chucked him on, actually, no, I'm not, like, in GTA, they should have, actually, okay, I think that's pretty bad to say. But anyways, if you just look at this is the most bait setup possible. Like, if you were getting trafficked, I don't even know whether you'd have, like, the time to be able to set this up. And even if there were, like, human traffickers here, they would obviously see this and break it up.
Lily Peters. On April 24th, 2022, what began as a normal Sunday afternoon turned into a tragedy. Around 3 p.m., 10-year-old Lily Peters left her home to visit her aunt. It was a trip she made often. The house was only a 3-minute bike ride away, and nothing seemed unusual. However, that evening, Lily didn't come home.
Bro, what was that screen over here? Did this guy just have a dedicated screen for the word however? A 0.5 flash of this screen that says however. That is insane. Okay, bro, this is probably a very serious case, but this caught me off guard. It's just the word however. Like, like, couldn't you have just, like, included this into, like, any other screen over here? It just flashes on the screen for 0.5 seconds. A dedicated screen for the word however.
However, that evening, Lily didn't come home. At first, the father, Alex, thought she might still be at his sister's house. When he called, however, his sister said Lily had already left over an hour earlier. Alex tried calling the parents of Lily's friends, hoping she had stopped by to play, but no one had seen her. Growing worried, he retraced the path Lily usually took, and around 9 p.m. contacted the police to report her missing. While looking along a trail, though, Alex made a chilling discovery. Lily's bike, abandoned with no sign of her. Hours later, just before 9 a.m. the next morning, a volunteer searcher found her body under a pile of leaves only a few feet from the trail. Police confirmed the worst. Lily had been murdered.
Okay, but is this really much of a surprise? You're gonna let your 10-year-old daughter go on a bike ride by herself every single, like, is it every single day? Like, I don't care if it's a 3-minute bike ride. I'm not letting my children in the future, like, ride their bike alone, especially if they're 10 years old. Because this is, like, the prime opportunity for some random serial killer kidnapper to just kill them. But let me try to solve this case. So this is a case that was recently solved. So I think she went to her cousin's house, and then she left her cousin's house an hour ago, and then that's when she got killed. So she got killed after she left her cousin's house. And so what if this was actually an inside job? What if it wasn't a serial killer murderer that just came out of nowhere at that time during the day? And so what if it was one of her family members instead that killed her? Her cousin. It must have been the cousin. I'm kidding. I've seen this case before. I know what happens in this case. It was the cousin that killed her.
At first, investigators had no clear leads, but then, online, a post about Lily's disappearance appeared on the true crime subreddit. While many people speculated, one comment stood out. A user called Home Slice Nation 4 wrote that they had been playing Pokemon Go on the same trail that day. They said they saw Lily in a pink and purple hoodie walking with another kid. The comment ended with, "I have a suspicion that it could be another kid that did it." The post was later deleted, but another Reddit user reported it to the police tip line. That single clue gave investigators the lead they needed. Within hours, police arrested 14-year-old Carson Petersberger, Lily's cousin.
Oh my god! I knew it was the cousin! Oh yeah, I'm kidding. I've obviously seen this specific case, because this was, like, directly from a different video I saw. I think this is directly from, what is it, Chilling Scares' video. But anyways, I'll say the same thing that I said, like, back in my other video, but I assume, like, okay, so here's what happened. So I assume people kill other people, especially, you know, if they're kids, if, like, they get rejected by their crush or something. Like, that's sort of my first thought. But at the same time, this guy is the cousin, and so the cousin shouldn't really have a crush on the other cousin, but I assume that actually might be what happened. And so I think this person had a crush on the cousin, but then obviously the cousin rejected him because she is cousins with him, and she thought it was weird. And then because of that, I think that's why the cousin killed her. But yeah, it's very suspicious how this guy eventually deleted his comment over here. And so I have a theory. Maybe this guy could have been a family member. Like, maybe this is the mum that sort of suspected that maybe her son did it, and then they were intentionally trying to get someone to tip this off to, like, the police tip line, because I assume she didn't want to feel the guilt of, you know, tipping her own son to the police directly.
During questioning, Carson admitted to the crime. He explained that he had followed Lily as she rode her bike, lured her into the woods, and attacked her in a plan he had been forming for months. He punched her in the stomach, beat her with a stick, and strangled her before returning home as if nothing had happened. Later, after noticing police searching the area, he came back to move her body deeper into the woods and tried to cover it with leaves. Because of the brutality and premeditated nature of the attack, prosecutors decided Carson would be tried as an adult. He remains in custody to this day, with his trial scheduled for 2026.
Wait, so he hasn't even had his trial yet. It's been 4 years since the incident, and they still haven't, given him the verdict. But I wonder what the motive was. Like, we never got an explanation. Even in the other video I watched, we never had an explanation. And so I think my theory is definitely a theory. Is probably wrong. You know what? It's definitely wrong. Unless, like, what state is this? Is this Alabama? But anyways, yeah, I have no idea what the motive could have been. Maybe it's just, a simple explanation like mental health or something.